Skinny spazoid. The idea of evil mothers has existed in as far back as ancient mythology. In modern times, we can see the vulnerability of children to their mothers profoundly in the reality of abortion. Whether you are pro-life or pro-choice is not the topic of this list, and the purpose of making it is not so that people can be swayed into one way of thinking. This instead is about the absolutely insane things women have done to themselves to get an abortion. We've all heard of the coat hanger, but I've done research into looking for some of the most horrifying and odd things women have done to themselves in order to get rid of that fetus. Some of these probably endangered the women themselves, making the mindset of said women to be quite questionable. Number 10, hitting the belly. This one can actually be traced back to 1150 Cambodia, where people would hit a woman's belly with a mallet. More modern versions have seen women hit their bellies with a hammer. This idea is simple enough, and if the baby is shaken and disturbed enough, it may actually work. What makes this kind of ridiculous, however, is the fact that the woman herself is actually getting hit too, which I imagine is quite painful. Also, the recklessness of these women to literally just have their womb hit, I think is pretty funny. Number 9, squatting over a steaming pot of onions. I think that the visual of this is enough to see why I think it's ridiculous. This one goes back to 8th century Sanskrit texts, and the idea is a kind of fumigation of the womb. Part of me feels like if you're going to go through this much trouble, you might as well not have sex in the first place, especially if you're some kind of ancient Sanskrit society. Number 8, swallowing gunpowder. This one comes from America around the 1800s. The idea of swallowing something that kills the fetus is a much older idea that has a kind of practicality to it, but gunpowder is kind of something that nobody should swallow. It's used to launch cannons, and I'm pretty sure you can die really easily from eating it. It's a really sad state of reality when you realize that people probably got really sick from swallowing too much gunpowder for an abortion. Number 7, falling down a bunch of stairs. Again, this one just sounds too funny and impractical, but it's true. Similar to hitting the belly, this one involves shaking up the fetus in order to damage it. But even more shaken up is the woman. I mean, she could kill herself falling down those stairs. These people are really stupid. I'm not trying to take death lightly, but, this is quite something. Number 6, putting the belly in hot water. This one is about using climate to kill the fetus. When I mean hot water, I mean hot water like scalding hot. Enough to kill a fetus. Anyways, again, the desperation of these women really continues to astound me, as doing something like this not only takes a lot of effort, but also hurts immensely. Number 5, putting the belly in snow. This one is the opposite of the previous entry and is pretty much the same idea. instead of using hot temperature to kill the fetus, the women would use cold temperature, the cold temperature of snow. In practicality, you would have to lay in the snow for hours, probably multiple times, to do this one, and your belly would turn numb, most likely. Number 4, shaking until the embryo falls out. This one is so juvenile that it seems like it would be something that you would see on South Park, for example. This stuff actually happened. Women would jump up and down and shake it all around until the embryo fell out. Number 3, eating crushed up Spanish fly. For those of you who don't know what Spanish fly is, it's neither Spanish nor a fly. It is actually a chemical that is so harmful to the body that it causes blisters when rubbed onto the skin. And this is the stuff women ate in order to kill the fetus and probably permanently damage their insides. Number 2, putting a leech up the vagina. This is just really odd. I'm not really even sure how these women thought this would work out for them. There's really no guarantee that the leech will work on your side, and a pretty big guarantee that it'll probably drain all your blood and kill you. Leeches are not humanity's best friends, which makes this all seem really dumb, except, of course, maybe not so much in comparison to the number 1 entry, which I think's the cream of the crop. Number 1, cayenne pepper up the vagina. For anyone that's ever had the unfortunate accident of exposing your skin to a lot of hot pepper oil, you can attest to just how irritating, painful, and hard to get off that stuff is. And this is the stuff that women thought would kill fetuses if they put it up their vagina. If you want to kill your fetus, this may or may not work, but if you want to permanently scar your vagina and maybe die a slow, painful death, it's almost guaranteed.